What's that? Yeah, next week we stop at 2.4, so we're coming back to the rest of 2, and then we'll go 3, and finish 2.
Okay.
I just want to reiterate what I said at the beginning too, and everyone seemed to buy in that we keep, anyone who wants to sign up for public comments in the first 30 minutes to an hour, is an hour good? What's an hour okay? I grabbed it after an hour. But we have more than enough that are signed up. Any other thing we need to talk out before we wrap up and go into the public comments?
Yes, I need to apologize for being late. I don't know how to read. And I was at another meeting and I thought, oh, I'm fine, I don't have to be there until 7. Well, all these different meetings, and most of them start at 7 and then some start at 6, and so, hey, but I apologize. for
So
being
you
late.
can volunteer to be the
No,
note taker.
No. I am lousy at taking notes. I am lousy at that.
That's right, you're late. The last one in, you take the notes.
Okay, so it looks like we will have about 15 minutes, so that means we will have 5 people at 3 minutes each for, or depending on how long people talk, we could have longer, depending if someone is shorter than 3 minutes. So first is Elizabeth McClellan.
Thank you all for your time tonight, and I did want to just respond to.
Can you stand up, Kate?
Oh, sure. Elizabeth McClellan, 7103 Lens Court. I do want to thank you all for serving on the committee. I know it is a lot of work. It's a very important committee. These are kind of the bylaws for the town. They're very important. I did want to respond to the chair's comments tonight. To be honest with you, I sat right over there at the last meeting, and I did take some pictures, and it did look like there was a motion to actually approve of the plan development and just kind of move on with several motions. So I would say that, I'm not trying to be sassy or anything like that, but I did kind of see where you could get that out of it. And I kind of just sat there. Is anyone going to say anything? So thank you to Mr. Jones for brought up the discussion, because I think it's important to have a discussion and not just check a box and let's move on to the next thing. I think I'm open to a discussion, but I think it's important to have it. And it was up there. I took a picture of it, and then when I saw what the town posted later, it was different. There was a different picture. So secondly, it was about the Pleasant Ridge Road, talking about like adding trails and stuff. That costs money, in case anybody didn't know that, because you have to buy it right away, you have to move utilities, and then you have to pay for that to be put in. So it's expensive. And I've talked to, I voted for the trail system. I'll just say I served on council, I voted for the ANY. I really had a different vision of where the ANY is going. I really like a more natural trail. That's just I love, when I went out west in Montana, Jackson Hole, it was Wyoming, I'm sorry, Jackson Hole. I love the natural trails, and you saw hundreds of people on it. And we hear now, in our trails and open space, we have to have, 15-foot paved trail, and I just think it's a difference of opinion. So, anyway, and I did want to ask a question. Are we assuming that the bike and trail, when you say require, would also be for just a house carry? Maybe you can answer that question. Would that be for like a house as well, or just neighborhood? You're talking about just developments.
We're looking for opportunities, and a trail in front of a sidewalk just in front of a single house is not an opportunity.
Okay, I just want to make sure, because I think people would find
That would be a very offensive.
I was going to say, I think that would be, so I wanted to clarify that. And the comp plan, although it is great, I just really want to point out, I think it's really important, it is not a regulatory document. It cannot make anybody do anything. It's very important. I sat there during the 2013 rezoning, and I tried to use the comp plan. Larger developments shall be away from residential areas. And I got voted down. I was a no vote on the Henson Village up here at 150. I was one of the no votes. Thank you.
Next is Fred Brown.
Fred Brown, 2913 Pleasant Ridge, been in Summerfield now for about 36 years. And I guess I'm confused. I heard your speech at the start as far as we're not approving PD, I don't know how they got out, blah, 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 blah. at the same time, I'm sitting here looking in the minutes, the committee discussed the issues and agreed to suggest specific recommendations for PD. I saw between 5% to 10% of the discussion tonight on PD. I see PD throughout the comprehensive spreadsheet that she's working on. That's for the computer part. And so I guess I'm confused. I thought PD was going to be considered, but apparently it's already been incorporated in a commercial term or whatever. So PD is here, and if you can go ahead a few months next year if you approve these PDs in it. So I guess I'm confused. Is PD there or is PD not there? Was there a decision somewhere along the line of we will include PD under commercial? Was a decision made that I wasn't aware of or anything?
So, can I answer it?
Yeah.
So the UDO draft was written in.
Yeah, first 2012.
2012, and it's
And then-
always had this small section 5, which is one of 7 zoning districts that says planned area development, just like it says industrial district, just like it says business district, just like it says residential districts. There is a paragraph in section 5 for planned area development. It's not the PD that everyone's using in the political realm that was written a year
A
ago.
year ago.
That is off the table. That is not what's in here at all. I'd recommend that you read this section 5.
Okay, I'll be glad to, because I was at the meeting we had at the church.
Yep,
And
totally different.
that was
Yep.
a complete meltdown, so I would, I guess I'll have a conversation with you.
I'll tell you where, like, yeah,
I'd love to,
yeah.
okay?
That's where there's a lot of confusion. So I
Must
appreciate
be, I'm confused. Thank you.
it. Okay. Thank you. So next is Todd Burko.
Okay, yeah, Todd Burdick, 7437 Story Road. I'm glad people in the committee have seen how many multiple issues need to be answered in to evaluate the plan development. You know, it's an urban tool, we're trying to apply it to a rural environment, and so the big question comes up, how do you make that work? Because if you do pass it, then you have other questions like, where's the money and the infrastructure going to come to make it actually work? Well, the soil in Summerfield does not support high-density development, which leads us to water and sewer. So that kind of leads us into Bob's suggestion of where he said maybe we should include a land use plan in the UDO. And I think that's a great suggestion because that's something that's more consistent with the comp plan, and it's also a tool which would help protect, you know, the residents, the residential component, the farms, and the open space of Summerfield.
Thank you. Did you want to?
I just wanted to note that you know, if you're familiar with zoning districts and development ordinances, the tool that is called planned development doesn't denote any particular use or density, and it's not just an urban tool. There are rural PDs, there are conservation PDs, there's commercial PDs, there's residential PDs. All it is a development with a plan. As I said, Henson Farms, RS40 zoning, the land in lots is higher density than 0.73 units an acre. The overall density is less than that, but that is a planned development. It's a very, very simple, high-level word that does not denote any particular type of development.
Okay. Dave Couch.
But election season, in case anybody didn't notice here in Summerfield, and it's always election times. And but lately, I'm encouraged. I'm encouraged, Todd, to hear you say that you would support a land use plan. And Bob, kudos to you, because I think that's the second time that I've heard you say that we could benefit from a land use plan. And so I'm encouraged that there seems to be the possibility of some discussion that would be more of a unifying discussion than a dividing discussion. And I think if we all will commit ourselves to stop saying the term PD, I'm so tired of hearing PD because it has become a bad word, and focus on the concept. And Carrie, you alluded to it earlier. If you think of master planned community, the opposite of that would be poorly planned community. So what we're talking about is planning. And so I'd just like to go on record that I have some data about our economic outcome here and what's happening currently in the economic cycle. I'd love to get some guidance, Andrew, from you and from you, Carrie, on how, well, first off, whether that's legal, to funnel that information to the community, to this committee. We keep it at Blue Ridge. It's our job to keep that, and we'll make that public so that we implement that. But I'd like to just offer my phone number, my email address to anyone in the town that would love to know what I'm up to or what I have planned. I'd love to share it with you and show it to you and have it be part and parcel to these discussions, because I think that we do need a land use plan. And I think that will help tamp down fear about massive commercial developments and about high density going here and going into places where it doesn't deserve to be and where we can't have the infrastructure. We don't have the infrastructure here. So I think with an overall level of education on all of our parts as to what it means, I think that we'll find that we agree on about a whole lot more of all of this about development than we disagree on. And when we do that, when we begin to focus on unity, I think we'll have a lot of fun watching this town develop in the most positive way and supply some housing that's not there, take care of everyone's needs that they're fearful of about what could happen. And so I would encourage the politicians that are running for office, I would encourage this committee. You guys have done an amazing job. My hat's off to you for the time that you spent, the commitment. My eyeballs spin around when I read anyone's ordinance, and ours is in really poor shape. And so I appreciate the energy and the effort that you're putting into it. I appreciate both sides of the political process that are raising the awareness in our town of how important these issues are. And my door's open, my phone's open, my number is 336-362-4613. Anybody wants to know what I'm doing, please call.
Thank you. I can't read this last one.
Begins with an M.
M-A-D. Someone in 3220 Pleasant Ridge?
Oh, that was me. I guess I'm not a wordsmith, a butcher of words. I'm Mark Ruffin, that's 3220 Pleasant Ridge Road. And I was really just wanted to thank y'all sincerely. I know there's been a lot of negative things passed around, but what y'all are doing is incredible. The hours you're putting in, and it's a pretty thankless job as far as I can tell, and I haven't met anybody that's complaining about it that wants to do it, and I'm not volunteering for anything, not that y'all would ask me to do it, but I would love to see us move together positively as a community, and I think we can, and thank you for more than just thanks. It means an awful lot, and you're better people than me.
And Gail, you're last.
Gail Dunham, and I would suggest that you watch the video. First, I'd like to thank the fire department for letting us use this wonderful room, and I'm glad to see you utilizing the IT tools that we have here. Thank you all very much for participating. I hope that you're doing your homework and spend the time to read the UDO. The UDO draft from 212 is a draft document, and I sat through all those meetings that went on for about 2 years while it was developed. I'm very familiar with that document. I'm concerned about the strong language that I heard tonight. I want you to know, as your mayor, I will not tolerate personal attacks against citizens. Watch the video from the October 10 meeting. I mean, the personal attacks are totally out of control, and there is a huge liability for the town, and it isn't a way to get anything done. If you're all coming to meetings, you're talking about the last one, some of you didn't attend the last meeting. I encourage you to watch the video, watch the discussion, and those green boxes did have PD in a number of them, and that's where the discussion was going. Afterwards, Carrie rewrote and put the PD information kind of in that last green box. But what we were going through that night was exactly what was in the email. The email specifically stated, if you make your recommendation, it goes to the town planner to write, and then it goes to zoning and the council for approval. It's only your recommending body. So that was all very accurate. And those of us that were here, we know the discussion that we heard. So I don't think that this UDO has to be based on that. The big issue is density. The people in this town are really smart. They want that overall density. A lot of the nice things that you're talking about, you don't need a PD to do them. You can build smaller houses now, you can build deep duplexes. If there's a way to make a modification, a small modification to the present ordinances, that's what you should be looking at. The PD is definitely for higher density development. The town was pushing a PD back in 2006. And I took up the document, I thought it was kind of interesting because the town specifically said with strict zoning, it was harder to get to higher density development. And they wanted the PD so that they could go 2, 4, possibly 8 units to the acre. And they were recommending density bonuses for design or architecture. The PD itself said, on first paragraph, it said you would have the PD regardless how they supplied water or sewer services. So the PD was kind of exempt from that. So there's some other interesting things in here. Thank you all for your dedication, and we'll see you in the future.
Okay, so clarity one more time. There was no personal attack, but when our committee, when every single one on this committee saw something and saw that we knew we were not going for a PD, and we all raised our hand and said we were not doing that. We know the intentions here. There was no personal attack on anyone, but I am going to defend this committee and what we are doing because I think we're going to do some great work. So I'm going to defend it when things that we are doing in this committee is twisted and turned in the public eye. And I think that's on all of us. When we're out talking to neighbors, I had a great conversation with a neighbor last week. If we can clarify what our mission is, what our goals are, how we're approving things, how we're moving things forward, I think that will help the whole community understand, whether it be about the PD that's in the UDO or how we're moving forward to the next policy area with recommendations to align the comprehensive plan to the UDO. Let's go out in the community and tell people that's what we're doing. We are not voting to approve a PD, and I will go on record and I will make sure that everyone knows that is not the case. That is not true. That is not a personal attack on anyone. I'm just clearing in an accuracy. Okay? We'll see you at the next meeting.